You are on the second part, and what's going to happen is somewhere where we have some room, I want to do reference angles, quadrants, and I want to show you guys one way to kind of put all of these angles together. You know what? Let's just use the back over here, and let's make some other charts, I guess. So let's make some charts, and we're going to do quadrants. We're going to make 4 columns. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to make 4 rows actually. So 1, 2. This is going to be quadrant 1, quadrant 2. Maybe I should go like that. Quadrant 2, so that it doesn't look like quarter number 1. Quadrant 3. And then quadrant 4, okay? So again, quadrant 1, when we're looking at the XY axis here and here, then quadrant 1, I'm shading it, it's going to be your top right. When we're looking at the Cartesian plane, the XY axis, quadrant 2 is over here. Quadrant 3 is here. On the bottom left of the XY, the Cartesian plane, and then quadrant 4 is going to be here. Quarter 1, I'm going to call them our, I don't know what ink I should use, I'll just keep using blank. So over here, this is what I call them reference angles, because we're going to refer back, whenever we have these higher angles, they refer back to this angle here. And I think when I list them all down, then I'll let you see why that is. Okay, so 30 degrees, 45 degrees, and then 60 degrees here. And I'm going to use radians now. So pi over 6, pi over 4, and then pi over 3 is right over here. Okay. All right. So what's going to happen is I usually like to start actually on pi over 4. And so I'm going to put down the angles that are related in quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4 that are related to the pi over 4. So in quadrant 2, it's going to be 3 pi over 4 here. Quadrant 3 is going to be 5 pi over 4. And then in quadrant 4 is going to be 7 pi over 4. Okay, what do I mean by, like, how are these all related? I'm going to attach the unit circle along with this assignment over here. So I'm going to attach this here. And if you take a look at the pi over 4, so they're right over here. So this is 45 degrees. And if you focus on the 45 degrees and the 3 pi over 4, which is 135 degrees, and we make that triangle, it actually makes that 45, 45, 90-degree triangle. Okay. They're the same triangle, but just in a different quadrant. Okay, same triangle, but a different quadrant. So you see 5 pi over 4, or also known as 225 degrees. If we make that triangle here, which I'm making it very badly, it's the same 45, 45 degree triangle as in quadrant 1, just in a different place. And 7 pi over 4 is right over here too as well. Okay, all right. So one way to kind of remember this is kind of like, I usually do patterns and I see what's happening over here. So one way to remember like the names of the angles that are associated or referenced to the pi over 4 is they're all odd numbers. 1, 3, 5, 7. So I say odd numbers. Okay. So count odd numbers. 1 is in quadrant 1. 3 is in quadrant 2. 5 is in quadrant 3, and 7 is in quadrant 4, and you know that all of it is going to be all over 4. Okay, so 45 degrees. Okay, up next, I like to do the 60 degrees. I'm going to do that in red, and let me just jot down the angles that are in those quadrants. So we have 60 degrees here, then we got 2 pi over 3 in quadrant 2, so we got it somewhere over here. In quadrant 3, it is known it is 4 pi over 3, which is over here somewhere, and then 5 pi over 3, which which will be in this quadrant 4 here. And, you know, for a fuller picture, let's just go ahead and take a look. Okay, so your pi over 3, so that's your 60 degrees right here. And then here's your 2 pi over 3, or your 120 degrees. Okay, and then so if we were to make that triangle, it's the same triangle as this, but this is just in quadrant 2. Same thing over here too, your 4 pi over 3, or 240 degrees. We're making the same triangle, but it's just in quadrant 3. And then 5 pi over 3, it's the same triangle that we're making, but it's just now in quadrant 4. Okay. All right. How can we remember this? Here's one way I've done, but you know, you guys can use your own mnemonics or your own patterns as well. I usually think of a sequence. Sequence 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What I mean by this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Some of my previous students had said 1 to skip 3, 4, 5. That's totally fine. For me, I like to include everything 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that is a sequence. It's up to you on how you want to tackle this and help you guys memorize this type of information. I like to do the 30 degrees last, pi over 6, because I don't know, sometimes it could be funny, you know? So 5 pi over 6 is in quadrant 2, somewhere over here. 7 pi over 6, and now I'll show you the big picture in quadrant 3. And then 11 pi over 6 is going to be in quadrant 4. Let's take a look at the bigger picture now. Again, I'll be attaching this along with the assignment so that you have this copy. So take a look at pi over 6. So here's how that triangle looks like right here. And then 5 pi over 6. Like I said, we're making the same triangle, but it's just in quadrant 2 and flipped. Okay. Here's 7 pi over 6, or 210 degrees, same triangle, but it's just in quadrant 3. And then afterwards, 11 pi over 6 is here, same triangle, but just in quadrant 4. Okay. Here is one way you could do this, and I'm only focusing on quadrants 2, 3, and 4. Okay. So you could say, I made a sentence, okay? At 5 p.m., I went to 7-Eleven. Kind of funny, huh? At 5 p.m., I went to 7-Eleven. Let's take a look at the sentence that I made, okay? A couple years back, I incorporated the 6, you know, at 5 p.m. and 6 p.m., I went to 7-Eleven, so you guys could also use that too. Then I just kind of just chunked it down. And I just said 5 p.m. At 5 p.m., I went to 7-Eleven. So these are different ways, and I'm showing you how I've done it, because when I took trig, then I had to find a certain way on trying to figure out the patterns instead of trying to like really push through and memorize. So here's one way you guys could memorize this piece of information. Okay, I will see you guys on the next video.